This video is on how to apply your knowledge on non-fatal offences to a problem type scenario question. Now, the advice contained within this video won't be the same for homicide questions, so please make sure you make a note of that. In order to get started, let's begin with a scenario. Students often get confused with where to start, and there are a number of different strategies in relation to structure. So I'm going to gear the information towards this very short little scenario which is going to come up next. Let's begin with looking at some law. Now, the non-fatal offences can be depicted either like this in a pyramid format, which I quite like, or it could be in the format of a ladder. The point is just to show that right at the top you have your most serious level of offence, which is section 18, and that is GBH with intent to cause GBH, and right at the bottom you've got section 39 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988, and there you would have your least serious offences, so assault and battery. Now, the ones above section 39 all come under the Offences Against the Persons Act 1861, and when you write about them for the first time, you always write out Offences Against the Persons Act 1861 in full, or Criminal Justice Act 1988 in full, and thereafter you can actually abbreviate. Now, once you move past this particular slide, you will find that there are slides on each of the areas with their actus reus and their mens rea, and a little bit of information, just a few key points for each of those areas. On this slide, what you'll find is that there are different types of injuries that could fall under each of the sections. So you'll find quite minor injuries under section 39, like grazes or scratches, superficial cuts, minor bruising. And for section 47, they get more serious, like, loss or breaking of a tooth, minor fractures, displaced broken nose, extensive or multiple bruising. And section 20 and 18, which is grievous bodily harm, so that's really serious injury and or wounding. You have things like injury causing permanent disability, major broken bones, like brain damage, dislocated joints, severe psychiatric injury. Whereas for section 47 you can also have psychiatric injury, but in section 20 and section 18 it would be a lot more severe. Now, this is just an indicator, and if you can keep in mind the kinds of injuries that fall under each of those headings, it will help you with problem type scenarios. Okay, let's begin with a step-by-step approach with advice and guidance, as we work through an answer for the problem scenario that appeared at the start of this video. Now, the first thing I want to say is do not write about the entire pyramid of liability. If you're absolutely sure it's a particular offence, then focus on that. For example, if a person's been frightened by a threatening text message, then focus on section 39 of assault of the Criminal Justice Act. Now, this will make perfect sense. It saves precious time in an exam and it reduces the length of a coursework assignment. Usually it's quite often the case that there could be two possible charges, whether they're from the least serious offences like sections 39 and sections 47, or from higher up on the pyramid of liability, for example sections 18 and 20. It could even be a case that you'll be required to consider two offences from the middle of the pyramid, sections 47 and 20. Now, in each case, be sure to state explicitly why you have chosen to analyse and apply the sections you have written about. For example, say Adrian has stabbed Ben, causing a deep wound. Then say that you've chosen to write about the most serious charges because the level of injury is serious. In your application, wherever possible, back up your analysis with as much relevant case law as possible. Now, this does not mean you must cite the facts for each case. What you will be doing is either stating a legal principle or just the name of the case next to the relevant point you've made. Now let's go on and put together our answer to the scenario that was presented at the start. The order of the structure within this video presentation will be as follows. So we will begin with considering what offences may have occurred and the level of harm that's been caused. And once we've decided what level of harm has been caused, we can then think about our pyramid of liability and choose the most appropriate offence or offences. So in our introduction, we'll identify those offences. Then we'll move on to the actus reus. And when you cover actus reus, move on to cover causation. Then move on to the mens rea. Make sure you apply throughout with cases that support your analysis and always finish off with a conclusion. The problem scenario will now appear in a short movie format, and just watch and see how the answer appears, and it will very closely follow the structure that I've just mentioned. Once you've watched it, it might be worth finding a problem scenario from one of the exam papers, and why don't you have a go and see if you can replicate a similar structure in your answer.